We are going to do day 2 of the notes, which is parallelogram, all about parallelogram. So it's kind of, it looks like 2-day lesson. So day 2, section 8.3 talks about test of a parallelogram. So that doesn't require a lot of writing, but this is the one I really need you guys to know and understand, because parallelogram is a foundation for all quadrilaterals that we're going to be talking about. So if we really understand the properties of a parallelogram, then when we start talking about rectangles, when we start talking about squares, rhombus, it won't be that difficult to understand. So in this objective would be, you'll be able to recognize and apply properties of a side, an angle, and diagonals in a parallelogram. Okay, that's what you guys will be able to do. What is the definition of a parallelogram, or what are some of the properties? So the definition goes in, it's a parallelogram, and you can see the first part of this word is parallel, right? Parallelogram would be what it is. So a quadrilateral with both, so you're going to put both pairs of opposite side parallel. Okay, that is the definition, meaning both pairs, meaning this pair here, AB, is parallel to DC, the other pair is AD is parallel to DC. That's what makes it both pair. So I can write it as AD is parallel to BC, and then AB is parallel to DC. Those are the pair we're talking about. So that's the foundational definition of it. There are 4 properties that goes with it. So the first property really is talking about the same thing what we just said. Both pairs of opposite sides are going to be parallel. Okay, and then you can symbolize that with 2 arrows this way and 1 arrow, or vice versa, it doesn't matter. So you can see that AB is parallel to DC and AD is parallel to BC. The next property would be both pairs of opposite sides are going to be congruent. Okay, congruent is what we're going to put. And in short, you can put the congruency sign, meaning AD is congruent to BC, right? And AB is congruent to DC. So you can either write it as AB is congruent to DC and AD is congruent to BC. They're going to be congruent. That's the property of a parallelogram. The third property would be both pairs of opposite angles, remember, are also going to be congruent. So opposite meaning angle A and angle C are congruent. Angle D and angle B are congruent. So I can write down angle A is congruent to angle C, and angle D is congruent to angle B. Number 4, both pair of consecutive angles are going to be supplementary. Okay, the consecutive angles are A with D, so this pair can be 180, or A with B, that's 180, they're consecutive. B with C is 180, D with C is going to be 180 degrees. So you have 4 pairs of supplementary angles depending on how you pair them. So angle A, so you can write it as angle A plus angle B equals to 180 degrees. Okay, and then so forth. 80, oh, sorry, it's 0. All right, the last one is the diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other. Okay, this is bisect each other. Okay, What it means is this segment, AE, is congruent to EC, and DE is congruent to BE. So it's very important you understand AE is congruent to CE because they bisect, they cut in half, and BE is congruent to DE. Okay, that is the fifth property. When it comes to the next page, now, how do I know if any four-sided figure is a parallelogram? So if they give me a parallelogram, it looks like a parallelogram, but what are the properties I need to look to determine if it is a parallelogram? So these are the 5 ways to prove a quadrilateral is a parallelogram. It has to satisfy one of the 5, and we have one more additional. So the 5 I just listed, which is both pairs are going to be parallel, both opposite pairs are going to be congruent, the opposite angles are congruent, and the consecutive are going to be consecutive would be supplementary, and they bisect each other. But number 6 is unique because if I have one pair of opposite side of a quadrilateral is both parallel and congruent, then it's going to be a parallelogram. So what it means is if I have a parallelogram, right, and the only information I have about this parallelogram is only about one of the pair. I know this pair is parallel to this pair, and then I know this pair is congruent to this pair. It says if one pair of opposite side of a quadrilateral is both what? Parallel, which the arrow represent they are parallel, and congruent with the line, then this can be classified as a parallelogram. So make sure you memorize this, the properties, 5 properties, but we have one more additional to prove whether the parallelogram is going to be parallelogram or not, or any quadrilateral. So these are some of the examples how we can see. So it says, are you given enough information to determine whether the quadrilateral is a parallelogram? And it says explain. So our explanation would be we're going to list the numbers 1 to 6. Okay, 1 is when both sides are going to be given to be parallel. 2 would be both opposite sides are going to be congruent, and so forth. So now this one has one pair congruent, one pair parallel. So yes, because of what? Number 6, right? Number 6 proves that if one pair is both congruent and parallel, yes. Then number 2 would be yes with what? Number 5, diagonals bisect each other. Good job. This would be yes because of what? Number, anybody? And I can't hear you. Number 2, right? Both opposite pairs are congruent. So this pair is congruent to this, and this pair is congruent to this. The last one pair is parallel, the other pair is congruent. This is not a parallelogram, right? So that's what we have to do. So we will go through more in class. If you guys don't want to, oh, we have 2 more, sorry. So this tells me, all right, this what does, so this line, if this is congruent to this, that proves that this is parallel to this because the alternate interior angle. Knowing this is congruent to this shows that this is parallel to this. So then I can say yes because of number 1, right? Yes. So I have opposite angles to be congruent, which is 60 and 60. All right, this is 180, right? This is 180. So you have no choice but to say this is going to be 120 because 4-sided need to add up to 360. So this would be yes because of number either 3 or 4. 3 opposite angles are congruent, or 4 the consecutive angles are supplementary. So whichever one you wanted. So make sure you guys kind of memorize what each of the property goes through. Then we will do it. I'm just trying to make this video short so that when you come into class, we dive into doing the classwork. But make sure you learn the properties of a parallelogram. 5 of the properties, 1 additional property to help you identify the whether you can name quadrilateral as a paragraph. So that's going to be a test, okay? So I'll just end it here, and I'll see you guys next class to go over day 2 of the notes, okay?